स्वाध्याय टीवी डॉक्टर बाबा साहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी।
Namaskar friends, I Dr. HIMANSHU PATEL welcomes you from the Chaitanya studio of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Open University. We are on the lecture series on mobile application development in Android. Today we will learn one practical application that will help you understand certain input controls and events. In last lecture we have created application for simple calculator. You can see the interface on the screen. Here we take two input numbers from user, and whenever user press addition button, it will display sum of two numbers into a text view. So, in these application we have discussed text view, edit text, button, and how to handle click event for button. In today's session we write down one application. The definition of application is we have to create login application where you will have to enter, where you will have to validate email ID which is username till the username and password is not validated, and login, there is one login button and it should remain disabled, and on successful login send user to another screen called welcome screen, where welcome and username should be displayed. So, we assume that username is abc@baou.edu.in and password is abc@123. You can also fetch username and database username and password from the database, but right now we have not discussed any or how to communicate with database. So, once you will have idea about database programming, you can also do that. So, here we will what we will learn from these application. So, we create two activities. One is for login with user interface that shows username and password, and one login button, and there is a one activity with user interface welcome message. So, we develop two activity called login and welcome. We will also use intent to send data from login activity to welcome activity, that is our username. We will also see how to handle multiple activity. Here we consider two activity. In previous example there is only one activity, but in this example we have two activities. So, how to start activity from within activity and how to handle keyboard event. We have already learned how to handle click event of button, but in this example we also learn how to handle keyboard event. Now, for keyboard event there is a on key listener is there. This interface defines callback method to be invoked when a hardware key event is dispatched to the view. Now, what you have to remember is this is not for software keyboard, this is only happen or generated whenever you press hardware keyboard. So, this is only useful for hardware keyboard and not for software input method. It is not generated whenever you press software input. Here this interface defines one public method called on key with three arguments. The first argument is a view, second argument is key code that returns which key was pressed, and last is a key event argument which consists of all the event related information, whether the only single key is pressed or it is in combination of key of shift, alter and control. So, these method we must define to handle keyboard event. Now, let us start this application. So, what will be the user interface and how these two activities interface is defined. For that I have already created one interface to show you. So, let us first look at the interface. So, on the screen you can see this is a login activity interface where we ask user to enter its username, which is generally email address, and then user have to enter his password. Here we assume that username is abc@bao.edu.in and password is also abc@123. So, user can type here abc@baou.edu.in. These may be fetched from the database as well once you learn, and remember this is not generated for software keyboard. So, once you enter username and password correct, this login button is enabled. So, if it is wrong, then you can see login button is disabled, but once you enter all the data correct, that login button will automatically enabled, and on clicking on this login button, it will send username to welcome activity, which displays welcome message for that user. So, let us learn how to create this application in Android. We also know how to create this user interface, because we have already discussed how to lay down controls in XML file. So, let us start. Here you can see welcome screen of Android Studio. Here we want to start a new Android Studio project. So, I click first button or first option. My name is login demo. My application name is login demo. We already discussed package name, domain and location details. I press next. I always select API 8 and Android 2.2, so that my application runs on 100% of the devices. Then I press next. Here we always select blank activity, and finally we define activity name. So, our main activity is login activity. So, I give activity name as a login activity, and then I press finish. These are the layout names. So, activity underscore login.xml file will be created with title login activity, and one menu resource is also generated with menu underscore login. So, just press finish to start your project. So, it will take some time to configure all the details by the Android Studio. So, here you can see it is a generating code and various folders for you. So, you can see on the screen that one XML file is generated, activity underscore login.xml, and one Java file is generated with login activity.java. So, here I create login screen. Now, we change this relative layout to flow layout. So, we go to text view and change this relative layout to linear layout. So, it automatically change end tag with linear layout. Now, again we go to design mode. Again I am okay. So, here by double clicking on these, we can change its text. So, our text will be enter username, and you can use default ID, because we are not using these control in programming. So, I will zoom this interface for you. So, one text view is entered with text enter username. Then we must enter one text field. So, this text field will take email. So, I choose email and drag these to drag these after text view. So, on the screen you can see these text view. Now, again we are adding one text view and text for this text view should be enter password. Now, again we add one text field, but it is a password. So, we put it immediately after text view, and now we rename all these controls. We give ID for first text field as a txt username, and for second edit text we will give name txt password. ID as a txt password. Now, we drag one more control button and rename it to login, and its ID should be btn login. So, we have one username, one password and one button and two text views which displays message. Now, we save this file. Now, we go to login activity.java file where we take reference for these controls. So, we declare two edit text control with name, username and password, and one button called login. So, we already discussed how to take reference for these control. So, uname is equal to edit text, find view by ID, ID is txt username. So, it will automatically display. For password we have edit text and its ID is txt password. Likewise, we can also have reference for login which is of type button. So, we take reference for this button. Now, whenever user types into this text box, we have to continuously monitor whether username and password match with predefined username and password. So, here we implement uname dot set on click listener that we have on key listener that we have discussed so far, and inside that we write down view dot on click on key listener. So, here I press Alter Enter. So, it will ask me to implement method and I give OK. So, it will implement on key method for me. So, here you can see there are three arguments view, key code and event. So, here I write down if key code is key event dot key code del or key code is equal to key event dot back, which means if delete and backspace is pressed, then we do not want to do anything, and if username, here I declare two variables of type string to compare our input data with predefined text. So, here I declare u, which is username as abc@bao.edu.in and one string p is equal to abc@123. So, we compare username which is our first text box equals our predefined value and password text equals our predefined password. Then we set button enabled. So, we call method button dot set enabled true and we want to consume this event. So, we write down true and in all other case we set login button enabled false and we return false. So, same code we write down for password. So, I am just copying this entire thing and I have to just change uname to password. Now, whenever user types into first and second edit text, it will check whether it is equal to predefined username and password. If it is that, then it enables button to true, otherwise it enables button to false. So, now we want to handle click event. So, we write down login dot set on click listener. These we already discussed how to handle click event. So, here we write down code for handling login event. So, now first activity is already defined, we want to define second activity. So, here in Java folder inside these package you have to right click and then you have to click new and activity and here we select blank activity which is welcome activity for us. So, we click this. So, here our activity name is welcome activity and we have to press finish. So, it will add one activity underscore welcome dot XML file and one welcome activity dot Java file for us. So, here we have one text view which we use for displaying welcome message. So, name for these is blank text and ID is txt welcome. So, now our both interface is ready and we want to send data from login activity which is username to welcome activity to display welcome message. So, here we use intent for sending data. So, inside here by mistake I taken on key listener, we have to use on click listener. So, login dot set on click listener and inside these we have to select on view dot on click listener, and we have to implement method on click. So, inside these we create one intent object and we create instance of intent. Here we provide two arguments. First is application context and second is activity that we want to start. In this case is a welcome activity. So, welcome activity dot class. So, these intent is meant for starting activity which is specified as a second argument, and you can call start activity method which takes intent as a argument. So, here we call start activity with argument I, which means we want to start activity which is welcome activity, but before we start we have to provide username to that activity. So, I call method put extra. So, these method will send data with this name to with this value which is. So, inside intent we want username with value whatever value typed inside username text field. So, meaning of these three line is we want to start one intent which represent this welcome activity, and before we start that activity we have supply one data with name username with value which is typed inside username. So, it will start activity. Now, we have to fetch this data inside welcome activity. So, we go to welcome activity dot java file, and here we have one text view which is used to display welcome message. So, I declare one text view of type with name MSG or message. So, message is nothing but text view that we find by ID. So, here we have to specify txt welcome, and here we can get intent by calling method get intent. So, here we receive intent sent by login activity, and we can separate data sent inside these intent using variable value I dot get string and name for our string is user name. So, what these two lines do is intent inside intent I we get incoming intent, and from get these intent we get one data with name username inside variable u. Now, we want to display u in that text view with name MSG. So, we write down MSG dot set text and then we write down welcome plus username which is received inside variable u. So, now, our both activity with its interface is ready, and we can save all the files and start these application by clicking on this button. So, here you can see it is asking whether you want to launch this application into existing device, and you have to check this option button. So, it will not ask you again and press OK. It takes some time to launch. So, here we have to type username which is abc @baou.edu.in and inside password we have to avoid using software keyboard and abc @123. So, it should enable this login button. Initially login button should be disabled. So, we go to activity login and we select this button and set its enabled false. Now, we again test this, we give some background color, so we can properly see this button. And we also give some text color. Here we little bit modified our code. Here we write down inside on key that key code is equal to delete key, or it is backspace, then we do not want to consume this event and set login to false. And if it is a username dot get text dot toString, that means value entered inside username equals predefined username and value entered inside password field is a predefined password, then we have to set login button to enabled and we have to return true, means we want to consume this event, we do not want to display anything else, and then we return in any other case we return false. So, now let us check by running one more time and it will launch our application into emulator. So, it takes some time to load this application. Here you can see we are entering username and then we use or enter a password which is in our case abc@123. Whenever both things are entered correctly, this login button is enabled, and if it is wrong, then login button is disabled. Now, clicking on this login button, it will start one intent with welcome activity, pass username to this welcome activity get this intent and extract username from this activity and display in a text view with message welcome plus username. So, this is how we can manage entire application. Here we created two activity, one is a login activity, another is a welcome activity. In login activity we handle two types of event, one is key event and another is a click event. Inside key event we write down logic that if both the value entered in edit text is correct, then we have to set that button as enabled, otherwise we have to set that button as disabled. And once both values entered is correct and login button is enabled, user can click on this login button and clicking on login button will resulting in starting welcome activity, and inside welcome activity we pass username that is extracted by welcome activity and displayed as a welcome message inside text view. So, in this example we learn lot many things like handling key event, how to create intent, how to pass data inside intent, how to get intent, how to extract data from the intent, and how to manage more than one activity, how to create new activity inside Android Studio. So, hope you enjoy the session. Thank you and happy learning.
स्वाध्याय टीवी